Hi, I'm Stu Kagan, and welcome to Born Scrappy, the podcast for scrap metal exporters and traders. Join me in conversation with some of the most experienced traders and operators that have helped shape this incredible industry. In this week's episode, I'm chatting with Jim Keefe, the Executive Vice President of GIE Media, the team that brings us the recycling today and the driving force behind Scrap Expo. Jim shares his 30-year journey in the business, how he stumbled into the scrap world, and how Scrap Expo was born out of a clear need. From running a publishing house to building one of the most action packed events in the space, Jim's story is a testament to building with intent and solving real problems. In this episode, we talk about why Scrap Expo attracts operators and traders, how live demos are turning lookers into buyers, expanding the recycling network, why 2025 is Scrap Expo's biggest year yet, and so much more. So let's jump into it with Jim. But first, intro. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Great. How are you today, Stu? Good to be with you.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you, Jim Keefe. I'm excited for this one because you usually on the other side interviewing people and finding out everybody else's life stories. So we're going to get to chat to you a little bit. So yeah, how things been, Jim?
Very good. It's a challenging year, I think, for all of us in the trade, but we're holding up, and it's been good. It's been good. We're in a great industry.
What a great industry, and essential and doing amazing things and surrounded by amazing people. I
Agreed.
really, it's an interesting way to start this episode off, but we're going to go there. When I moved to America, the reason why I moved was because I was commuting to the US from New Zealand, and obviously I'd spent most of my life in South Africa.
I
I
remember
had
that.
never experienced, yeah, and I'd never experienced a community like I have in the US around our industry. It's not like this anywhere else that I've seen in other countries. Even visiting other countries, going to association meetings in other countries, the US has something special. Everybody is super welcoming. Everybody wants everybody else to be successful. And it's not like of course we compete. And of course everybody's kind of like wanting to do the best for themselves and their stakeholders and everybody. But at the same time, you really can pick up a phone at any time and reach out to somebody, and somebody out there will help you.
Yeah, I think that's very true of the industry. Somebody told me a long time ago, it gets into your blood. And,
Yeah.
once it's into your blood, you can't get out. You know, um,
That's exactly it. I tell everybody who joined our industry over the years and joined my company, it was always the exact same thing. Once it's in your blood, you're done for. Like you can try
that's
leave
right.
and you might be gone for a month or two, but you'll come back. Like,
You come back. It's like The
yeah,
Godfather. You try to
yeah,
get out, but they pull
exactly.
you back in.
You can never leave. Exactly right. Jim, before we jump into, what our main topic is going to be, which is Scrap Expo, where it comes from, what it's all about, what's exciting about this year, because we're a few months out, and you put this on. Before we go in there, just give us a bit of background about Jim. Like, how did you get into this industry? Were you born and going like, I want to be in this metal recycling industry, or did it land on you? Talk us through how this happened.
Well, so I think like so many people, the way I ended up in the industry was almost by default, right? So our parent company is GIE Media, and I joined GIE a little over 30 years ago, almost 35 years now. And at that time, I thought I'd be here 3 to 5 years. We at that time were a small publishing house and had three magazines. Recycling Today was one of them. Today, we've grown to one of the largest privately held media companies in North America, and we publish in about 20 different vertical markets. But I spend the majority of my life around the recycling industry. And so um, it's just become part of what you love to do. I have so many friends in the business, and now my son's in the industry, and so that's a wonderful thing as well.
Yeah, good old Cameron. I see him at all the events I go to. We were talking about it just offline beforehand. He's probably the hungriest youngster I see out there. other than maybe Jean Paul, who's just joined the buddy team. But the two of them, I compared Jean Paul. In fact, when I first met him, I said, you remind me of a younger Cameron Keefe.
That's
Just
funny.
awesome guy, really, really hungry out there. And it's great to have the young blood coming into the industry. Now, you do a lot of other media. What are some examples of that? You do construction, you do waste. What else are you
So
guys
we
involved in
were
specifically?
so if you look at our what we call our waste and recycling business, we publish Recycling Today, Waste Today, and Construction and Demolition Recycling. But as a business, we're very diversified. We're in the aerospace manufacturing sector, medical equipment manufacturing. We're in the structural pest control business. We're in um, golf course management. We're in ornamental horticulture, nursery, greenhouse, garden centers. So we've got a pretty diversified business, and we produce a lot of events across our portfolio, as well as digital media like podcasts and so forth. So today we're a fairly diversified business. But our recycling business really started when we, in the mid 80s, acquired Recycling Today, Fiber Market News, and what was then called the Paper Stock Directory. And our business has grown from that. And today we publish Recycling Today, Plastics Recycling. We publish, as I mentioned, Waste Today and Construction and Demolition Recycling, as well as our scrap recycling supplement to Recycling Today.
So, I mean, how long has Scrap Expo been going? Is this its fourth year or third year?
This will be our fourth year for Scrap
Fourth year.
Expo, yes.
And it's quite interesting because you came on the scene, but straight away it was like you knew what you were doing. And I guess that's because this isn't your first rodeo, right? I mean, you put on a whole lot of other events. So you're hosting the construction event, is that right? Like,
Well, we launched our first event in the recycling space 25 years ago, almost 26 years
there
ago
you go.
now, which was originally the Paper Recycling Conference and is now the Paper and Plastics Recycling Conference. And we host that event in Chicago, downtown Chicago, every year. And last year, I think we had, I don't know, a little over 1,000 people from 23 countries attending that event.
Hmm.
So that's a large event, very different from Scrap Expo, but a wonderful event for us and for the industry.
Let's talk Scrap Expo. So, what made you decide you wanted to do Scrap Expo? Where did you see the opportunity to have another event? People feel that there's a lot of REMA events everybody's attending, but Scrap Expo kind of cut through the noise, put itself out there, and now it's attracting a lot of attention and getting a lot of people to attend. Where did you see the opportunity? Why did you think it was necessary to do it?
Listen, we think those regional REMA events are very important, especially on a regional basis where they really serve a great need for the local networking and local legislative and regulatory activity and so forth. And, the REMA National Convention, frankly, now is a big international event. And, we think it's a great event and, wonderfully produced. And were members and great supporters of the association. But what we saw over decades of managing a circulation file, Recycling Today goes all the way back to 1963. So we've been doing this for quite some time. And we saw that there were thousands of scrap dealers, metals recyclers out there that were not really involved in any industry association, and that there was an opportunity to help create a forum for those people. At the same time, we had been having customers come to us for years, many, many years, and saying to us, industry suppliers, saying, could you help us figure out how to do a road show? How could we actually show our equipment to people so they could run it, operate it, see what the difference is? And of course, that's a very challenging thing to do for many, many reasons. But we've been participating in other industries as a company in live demonstration events. And so we felt like there was an opportunity to create that kind of a forum to serve the metals recycling space. Those two things came together to create Scrap Expo and help us to develop that concept for the industry.
So I guess the question is, what is Scrap Expo? How do you differentiate yourself? Which you have given us a little bit on, but you can go a bit further there. And who do we expect to actually see there? Who are the people that attend that?
So Scrap Expo is very different than anything else in the industry. First of all, we host it every year in Louisville, Kentucky. So it's a known kind of commodity. When you come in, you know the space, you know the place. Um, it's a bit of a second tier city. Louisville's a fantastic city, but it because it's a bit of a second tier city, it's a little bit less expensive to get there and to be there. And we find that to be a derivative benefit for the expo. And Scrap Expo is also an event that we keep it short, right? It's a 2 day event. It starts on a Tuesday or Wednesday and ends on Wednesday or Thursday, depends on the year. We've changed it a little bit. We keep it tight. And the reason is we have many, many small operators, owner operators who attend the event. And it's hard for them to get away from their operations for extended periods of time. And so they really appreciate the fact that they can be in their yard on Monday, still come to Scrap Expo on Tuesday, be there Wednesday. We typically end a little bit early the last day, and folks can head home. Now, some people hang out, some people do other yard visits, some people do some other types of traveling in the region, but it's a 2 day event and you can do it. We also do it always so that it's in the middle of the month. So it doesn't interfere, particularly in the ferrous side of the industry, with the buy sell week or the I've got to ship this material out last week of the month kind of thing, right?
Sure.
And so we've built it really to be conducive to the industry. Um, One of the other things that's kind of unique about Scrap Expo that frankly we didn't expect when we started the event was we've seen a lot of small companies attend. I mean, many, many independent owner operators, auto dismantlers, auto recyclers, small yards. But then we've also seen from some of the big steel mills, from some of the very large companies in the industry, send huge groups of their operations teams to the event. So that we really didn't expect when we started the event. And it's been neat to see those groups come in. And a lot of those groups will also plan alternative meetings. They'll do internal meetings maybe the next day in Louisville because they have a bunch of plant operators together who don't normally get together because they literally run facilities in different cities across the region or across the country.
It's quite interesting because operationally, this convention sticks out. The experience is completely different in a way that if you're looking to buy a mobile share, fantastic. Go outside, go and try and use a couple of them and make a decision. It's very,
That's
very
right.
difficult to do that anywhere else in any other way. So that's where really I feel that it's a great opportunity to send your operations team. And just to touch on, you spoke about like owner operators that can come out on the Tuesday and leave on the Wednesday afternoon. I met them. We were exhibiting last year and I met people that were there that actually were just popping in. They had been able to get away as quick as they could and get back the next day, back into their yard. But because it was that short period and in the middle of the week, everything you talk about actually makes a lot of sense. But then what's so interesting is I was speaking to somebody the other day and they were asking me whether they should attend, and they said, but apparently it's only, operational staff, not really decision makers necessarily, that these ops guys will go back and give their report and then the managers will make it. And I said, that's absolutely not what I experienced. Like, I
Yeah,
remember
that's
the top dogs from Padnos and Alta being there. I'm just thinking two people that I was chatting to, right? So, like, you've got some of the biggest companies in the country that are sending their CEOs and the owners of the businesses that are coming to the event. So it shouldn't be perceived to be just an operational lower level experience. I definitely think that there's a lot of higher level management there as well. Would you agree?
it's absolutely the case. We've had a lot of CEO engagement over the years. Um, some of the largest companies in the industry, some of the oldest, most respected family-owned businesses in the industry. We've definitely seen C-suite owners very, very active in Scrap Expo. And the other thing I think that's interesting is we've seen a lot more traders attend the event. I didn't fully expect this, but one of the things that's neat is we've had a few of them, I can think of one stainless buyer who exhibits at the event, and they've shared with us that they see people that they don't see at any other thing that they ever go to. And
Mm.
they were actually able to create more new buying relationships than at any other event that they attend, right? Do more physical business than any other event that they attend. While the other events are important and help them maintain important relationships and networks across the industry, they're actually at Scrap Expo doing business. And so they found that to be really, really valuable.
It's interesting. I never thought about the fact that you're able to get the people that aren't a part of REMA who are actually attending this because they're wanting to make a decision. They don't want to be a part of the big association. They want to make a decision on some operational equipment, and they come out there. And other than meeting them there, it's not easy to find out who these people are or to contact them unless you're going through 10,000 metal recycling yards through some database to try and find them. So it is actually a great opportunity. But next time the stainless steel buyer tells you that it's great because they can find new supply, just send him to Buddy, and we'll look
Send them
after
to
him if he's
Buddy,
looking
right?
for more supply. There you go, Jim. Now, every year we've noticed it's got better. There's different things happening. What are we expecting 2025? What's this one going to look like?
So we one of the things that we've done is we've planned kind of a unique opening keynote. We haven't done this kind of thing before at Scrap Expo, but
Mm.
we've got one of the top investment bankers who analyzes and looks at the metals business writ large, not just metals recycling, but the overall metals business, as well as one of the top commercial bankers that serves the metals industry. Not just metals recycling, but metals production, metals distribution channel, um, and also an economist from a law firm who's going to be there who does a lot of work in the tariff arena. And
Mm.
so we're going to have this session that's going to kind of look at tariffs, aluminum, steel, and the economy. What's it all look like? Those of us who are in the business are very well aware of the fact that there's a lot of new capacity being built in North America. What does that mean for the industry? We all know that we live in a world that has a lot of tariff activity going on. None of us are quite sure what that means. We're going to have experts there to talk about that. We're going to look at the financial performance of the industry and what are the bankers who actually, listen, everything that you do, whether you're building a new steel mill, whether you're building increased smelting capacity, all of those things have to be funded and somebody has to put the
Absolutely.
money up. And those bankers, whoever is syndicating that loan activity, they want to make sure that the money they're putting up is going to be paid back. And so they
Yeah.
know the industry intimately. And so
Mm.
that's going to be a really, I think, really dynamic, interesting opening session at the expo this year. And then
So is that a panel? Sorry, Jim. Is
that's
that
a
going to be a
panel
panel?
discussion. So
That's
there'll be
awesome.
some short presentations and then so they'll each do a short opening presentation and follow that then with a panel discussion amongst the three panelists. Yeah.
That sounds like enough reason to come for anybody just in that. But what else have you got? You were going to tell us some other things before I
We're,
butted in.
we're going to follow that with a session that's going to, again, if we look at the changing landscape that we have in North America right now, we've got a very different um, trading world that's going to be upon us. I was talking with somebody earlier today and they said, we saw this, we started talking about this back in 2017 when we saw this projection of new steel mills and aluminum, but now it's all really coming to the fore. And so the question is, what effect is that going to have on flows, regional material flows, but also the technology that's beginning to come into these melt shops and the quality standards that they're requiring, furnace ready charges, the idea of green steel, low carbon steel. How do we get there, right? You can't just take the old auto bundle and throw it into a furnace and think you're going to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The demands from a quality and from a chemistry perspective. I actually had an executive for one of the largest ferrous processors chatting with earlier today who said, we're going to see the chemistry requirements that have existed in the stainless and the non-ferrous world come into the ferrous world,
Mm.
right? And you might argue, kicking and screaming as an industry, as we may, that's coming. And so this next session is going to look at that changing landscape. And we've got some of the best in the industry who are going to have a panel discussion. John Sacco is going to moderate that again.
Awesome.
John's moderated for us in the past. And that's going to be a really interesting discussion about where's the industry going in the years ahead.
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic. And if we can get ahead of it, like you say, it's been spoken about since 2017. How many people have actually moved on it or executed on any plans? I think you're starting to come to the time that if you aren't, you're falling behind.
That's right.
So that'll be quite an interesting talk. What else have you got going on? Is there different stuff going on outside this year? Other than the talks, I
We've
mean, what
got
else?
some of our traditional suppliers back. I mean, companies like Genesis and Senebogen are going to have large footprints showcasing their equipment, some of their newest equipment. And we've got some new faces out there. Companies like Lafort are bringing in a traditional um, scrap metal shear. We've never had somebody bring in a guillotine shear into the
Hmm.
Scrap Expo yard before, so that'll be a first this year. Um, Companies like Harris American and Sierra will be there with, very big footprints showing off their equipment, what their technology can offer operators. Um, I can't even tell you all the details on this one yet, but we have the debut of a brand new hydraulic material handler that's being introduced to the industry that's going to make its industry debut at Scrap Expo.
Is it a new
And
brand
so
or is it from one of the well-known
it's a
brands?
new brand. It's a
Oh
new
wow,
brand. Yeah. Yeah.
that's going to
American
be
made.
interesting.
So it's going to be, I think, very interesting for many in the industry. We've got some great technical talks going inside. Senebogen's going to do a technical talk looking at what is happening in the world of material handlers. How do you have to think about your machines in today's world to maximize uptime, maximize machine reliability? We've got the CEO of GreenSpark is going to talk about, some operation software and some of their
Gordon.
platforms and so forth. And so, those should be interesting. One of the things that we're doing also this year, which is we haven't done anything like this at Scrap Expo either. We're going to have a panel that's going to be a technology spotlight and look at refining recovered metal, right? Because again, as we were talking a minute ago, the industry's changing.
Hmm.
So we're
Of
doing a
course.
supplier panel that's going to look at here's the tech. Here are these tech platforms that are out there and all these different machines and the ways you can apply them. But then we're going to follow that with an operators panel who is going to look at how they have actually integrated a lot of this technology into their processing facilities to create that really furnace ready charge, low copper ferrous product. And we've got some great names in there. That's going to be moderated by Ronak Shaw from Levitated Metals down in Houston. And we've got Kevin Gershowitz coming in from Gershaw Recycling. George Adams from
Amazing.
SA is going to be on that panel. We've got some of the leading technology companies from globally that will be represented. Steinert, Wendt Corporation, SGM, Erie's, who will be there to be talking about some of the things they're doing. You look at a company like MSS, they introduced earlier this year a meatball magnet, right? There's never been anything like this available
Mm.
in the industry. They're going to be on the panel talking about what they can do. So I think that panel is going to be really interesting. Brett Eckhart's coming back this year. Brett is hosting two things that are going to be really interesting. He's doing a session on how do you drive down and manage your costs? How do you understand your costs? How do you know what they are? And then how do you identify and leverage opportunities for your business to really grow the company? And we're doing something we've never done. Again, a lot of firsts this year at Scrap Expo. We're hosting a workshop that is going to be a Scrap Life boardroom. And so imagine all the independent companies that are out there. They don't have the benefit of an outside board of directors, right?
Mm.
And so this workshop is really going to bring them the opportunity to sit in a boardroom environment with directors to help them think through, how do I deal with these day-to-day challenges? How do I look strategically at my business and leverage the growth opportunities? How do we manage capital? How do we manage the cost structure again? How do we access capital to fuel growth where we need to?
Mm.
So that workshop, it's going to be very elite. We're limiting it to 20 people, two per company maximum. And so that's going to be a really fantastic event that's going to happen the morning of Tuesday, September 16th.
Do people need to book for that beforehand because you're limiting it,
They
but
do.
I haven't seen anything. Okay.
They
And how do
do.
they book for that?
We'll open up reservations on the website. It's not available just yet, but we'll be getting that set up pretty quickly here.
There's a few people I advise in the US market on the scrap side, and I'd love to probably try send them to that. You said you're going to have people there. Is it Brett? Is the one person there helping, or have you got a team of people? Because it's quite hard. You've got 20 people asking questions. They could all have different questions. How do you manage that? That's a difficult
Yeah,
workshop.
you're absolutely right. It's difficult. We'll have a team of people in the room, industry experts, seasoned folks who are going to be there to share some of their perspective and insight.
That's awesome. That sounds amazing. That's very different. I haven't heard that at any of these sort of conferences before. And I think it comes down to collaboration and being able to help each other. And that's the
Exactly.
perfect example of people have already done certain things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's somebody usually out there who's already been through this experience you're going through.
There's different groups that exist across the country. If you think about the Alternative Board, TAB is a group. There's different groups who do this kind of thing, but they're bringing together businesses from disparate industries, right? You
Yeah,
might have a
it's not
printer
our
sitting with
industry.
a metal recycler, sitting with somebody who runs an automotive dealership, or these kinds of things. Those groups are beneficial, but this is something really specifically for the metals recycling business.
Hmm. No, that's excellent. I wonder if there's the opportunity to take something like that and move it um, offline as well, and and do some Zoom follow-ups and things like that to really help people longer term. I don't know how Brett would find the time to do that, but
They're
he seems to have
definitely,
more than 24 hours in his day.
somehow Brett has more than 24 hours in his day. I don't know how
Absolutely.
he's achieved that, but he's done it.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many people did you have last year? How many exhibitors? And what do you think it'll be like this year?
Well, we had a little over 1,000 attendees last year at the event. We had about 100 indoor exhibitors, and we've grown that a little bit this year, and outdoor about a dozen.
Yeah. So was it the same as last year? Was there about a dozen last year? It seemed like there were more, but
We've
maybe because they take up more space.
They take up more space. Yeah. And some of them have multiple machines. And I think some of the
Right.
cool things you're going to see this year, like Genesis, is bringing some compact equipment, right? They haven't done that in the past, right? So
Mm.
this can help show some of the smaller operators in the industry, hey, there's different options. You don't have to buy the biggest Genesis shear. There are other options depending upon what does your material flow look like. Did you realize you could have a really powerful shear on your skid steer, right? You're going to be able to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
that and operate that this year at Scrap Expo. So if you look at Sierra, they're going to have electric material handlers. Again, if you're running an indoor non-ferrous operation, that's a beautiful machine for
Yeah.
people to be looking at, right? Along with their traditional loggers and balers and shears.
Have you got any, what sort of health and safety focus is there going to be? I think last year you had a session on that, didn't you?
We do.
Outside.
We
And this year?
listen, we nobody can go into the Scrap Expo yard
Mm.
without going through a safety briefing, right? We have a safety team of safety marshals on site who are kind of patrolling the yard to make sure that everything is done safely and done well. And everyone goes through a safety briefing on their way out,
Yeah.
and they have to have a wristband that certifies that they went through. They have to
Mm.
sign off accepting the terms and conditions to enter the yard. And we're very, very vigilant about that. We're going to do it safely or we're not going to do it at all.
Jim, what would you say your highlight of last year's event was? What is like, either a person, a group, a company, something that went down that just makes you, excited about this one?
Well, last year we hosted the first night of Scrap Expo. We do a dessert, bourbon, and cigar reception. That is a hit. Everyone loves it, right? We did it at Churchill Downs last year, where the Kentucky Derby is hosted, and people absolutely loved it. And we're going to do it there again this year, and that's a really exciting element to Scrap Expo. What we do is we do a closing happy hour reception, give a break, let people go out to dinner, do that sort of thing, and then come back together as a group, right? To just participate in industry networking, right? This year, we're also going to bring food trucks outside. So outside in the
Hmm.
yard on day one, we're going to have food trucks. So that'll be a fun element. I think that's
So this
a
is,
different
sorry,
thing
that's
this year.
during the day. You're talking about during the day, the
That's
expo,
during the
not
day.
this, not Churchill Downs. Got you. Okay, so that gives you the option to get some food while you're there as well.
Correct. We'll serve lunch
Yeah,
inside on Wednesday, day two, but on day one,
yeah,
we're going to serve lunch outside at the
that's
outside
awesome.
expo.
Yeah, I was at the Churchill Downs event last year. It was fantastic. You got to go and sit on the stand and see, everything. And at night, it was brilliant. There was a light show of some sort on the field. There was something going on. It was a great event. So I'm definitely looking forward to
Yeah.
that.
And the neat thing is
Yeah.
about Churchill Downs, it's a huge place. So this year we're
Mm.
actually going to be in a totally different venue than what
Oh
we were
wow.
in last year, even though we'll still be
Okay.
at Churchill Downs. So that's kind of cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's very cool to see some different part of it. Jim, tell me why anybody listening should be at Scrap Expo and give us the dates and how so we can start planning.
So we are going to be September 16th and 17th in Louisville, Kentucky at the KEC, the Kentucky Expo Center, which is really almost right across the street from the Louisville airport, right? Super accessible, very easy for people to get to. Louisville's within something like a 8-hour drive for 70% of the US population, right?
Wow.
Very easy place to get to. So that's a neat thing about it. The other element, networking. The recycling industry is really about the networking. It's not just about markets, but it's also about solutions. How do I find solutions for either the materials that are coming into my facility or the operational issues that I'm facing? And so Scrap Expo is all about solutions. And from the sessions and the speakers that we're going to have, all the way through to the networking and the booths and the exhibits. We've got a record trade show floor this year. Um, for those people who are members of REMA, we have a partnership with REMA, so you can get a discount on your registration for the event. So that's fantastic. We're excited about that. Beyond that, I would say it's just a lot of fun. It's super accessible. It's not going to take a lot of your time. The first year we launched Scrap Expo, I bumped into a husband and wife, partners, run their own firm. They were heading out to the parking lot on day two to head home. They were on a yard in Virginia. And they said, we were in the yard all day Monday. We left a little bit early to go home and pack up. We got up super early Tuesday morning, drove to Louisville, attended Scrap Expo all day, stayed overnight, attended Scrap Expo all day today. We're heading to the truck right now to drive back to Virginia. We'll be in the yard tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that's
wild.
one of the great things about
Mm.
Scrap Expo. It makes it accessible really to anybody and everybody in the industry.
Yeah, and I second the whole part about networking. It's a fantastic event. There's a lot of time available. There's a lot of space. There's great things to go and see on the stage and to get benefits. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we've
Before
got
we,
lots of
oh,
networking space for people to meet
hmm,
right on the trade show floor. We'll have picnic tables outside. Again, it's just a really fun event.
hmm, totally. Before we go, I need to ask you a couple questions like I always do. But first, let's start with who would you like to hear next on Born Scrappy?
Oh boy, who would I like to hear next? I didn't prepare for that one, Stu. Um, I think you should flip the. Maybe you've done this one and I'm not aware of it, so I apologize if I missed it. Have you ever flipped the tables and got John Sacco to come on?
Yeah, John was one of my first guests, but this is
Okay, he was
season
one of your
one.
first
It's
ones.
like 70 episodes ago.
Okay.
John, absolutely love John. We had a great episode with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, someone like a Frank Cozy would be great.
Mm.
A former REMA chair who built a huge company and now is building another great company with his kids and, the next generation, I should say, of the Cozy family. I think someone like Frank would be, or Al Cozy, that would be awesome. You know,
Yeah, I think it's a great one. We've already got Frank on the list for season 4, so and we've only got a couple episodes left of the season, but he'll be on the next one. Love spending time with him, love talking to him, so
that's
looking
great.
forward to
Wonderful
having him on the
man.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then now I need to ask you, what is your favorite TV series or movie?
So I'll tell you first, I don't watch a lot of television. It just doesn't seem to creep into my life all that much. But movies, I have to say, any James Bond movie, I love
Oh,
James
nice.
Bond movies and or Jack Ryan, but those are just classics to me.
Who was your favorite
Um,
James Bond actor?
um, I go back to the old world. I have to say that I think it was wow. Now I can't think of his name. The
Timothy
British actor.
Dalton?
No, 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 no.
Sean
It
Connery?
Sean Connery. Yeah, the Sean Connery
Yeah, I'd be the same.
generation.
He's
You
probably be
know.
my choice. Well, I wasn't thinking you were going to say like Daniel Craig or somebody like the new
No, I mean
generation.
again,
I was definitely to think originals.
it's got to be the
Yeah,
originals. Got to go back to Sean Connery.
absolutely.
That's what I grew up with.
He is
You know.
amazing. Um, what is your favorite place to visit?
Favorite place to visit? I would always tell people there are so many great places in the world. It all depends what you want. But if I'm going to pick one place, I would say, Italy. I just love Italy. Love spending time there. It's a fabulous country. Wonderful food. Wonderful wine. Wonderful. Just it's a great
Everything.
city. Great country. I
That's
mean,
why you.
wonderful
That's why you
cities.
go to John. That's why you keep visiting John Sacco at his house because he makes you his delicious pizza and his pasta, homemade, everything.
I don't know if I've been. Yeah, yeah. It's like being in Italy, but it's not being in Italy.
And it might not be, but it's as close as you'll get.
That's right. That's right.
Favorite book? You don't watch a lot of TV. Do you read a lot of books?
So as a publisher, I read a lot. I'm not a great
Mm,
book reader. One of my favorite books that I've ever read, though, is because it relates kind of to our industry, is The World for Sale.
brilliant.
I don't know if you've read that one, but I think it's a
Absolutely.
brilliant book
Incredible.
about the origins of commodities trading, and great book.
Yeah, I recommend it to anybody in our industry. I think it's a fantastic book. It's, like a bit of a thriller at times. It's crazy to hear what they went through. I don't think they can do the same as what they used to, but it was a wild ride, what they used to do.
Absolutely. I just finished the book Cold War II. Um,
Cold War Two.
Cold War II. Jason Schenker, which some folks across the industry know Jason.
Yeah.
He's one of the top futurists and
Mm.
commodities analysts in the industry. Um, but Cold War II looks at the new world order that we're entering into and current events, and it's a powerful read. And if you haven't looked
I like
into it,
that kind of
I
book.
would
I
suggest
like
doing
that.
it.
I like those kind of books. I like the book The New World Order by Ray Dalio, which kind of talks also, it's a few years old now, but talks about where we're going and what's brought us here. And it takes a whole lot
I've
of
not read
history
that. I'm
to
going to
help
have to
you.
make a note of that.
Yeah, it's excellent. And lastly would be, what is your favorite quote?
I'm kind of a quote guy, and one of the quotes that I've held close for a long time is a quote that says, I cannot give you the path to success, but I can tell you the path to failure. Try to please everyone. That's a quote from Benjamin
Yeah,
Franklin. And I think it was as true for him as it is for us today.
man, that is so excellent. I haven't heard that before, Jim. It's not often that a quote gets thrown out in here that I've never heard before, and I think that is brilliant. And everybody should kind of like take that to heart. That's an excellent quote. Great way to
Yeah,
end the show, Jim.
you shouldn't use it as a guiding principle, but it's a good
Yeah,
quote to
yeah,
to,
yeah,
to
yeah.
have around, right?
Absolutely. Jim, this has been fun, man. Thank you so much for being on Born Scrappy.
Absolutely. Been great to be with you. Thanks so much for the
Yeah.
opportunity. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to seeing you in Louisville soon.
Look forward to it, Stu.
Cheers.
Thanks again.
Cheers,
Good
Jim.
luck.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye now.